Good morning, everybody. It's No Smoke Jones. Today we're going to be talking about the subject of gun control. Yes, it's very controversial right now, but I'm going to try to be as nonpartisan as I can. I just have two questions I want to ask today. And so we're going to jump right into it. The first question: how come when it pertains to gun control, we don't apply that ideology to anything else in our society? And what I mean by that is, if you talk to very stark gun control or anti-gun control people, they'll tell you things like, well, since we can't eradicate the gun and we can't stop murders and crimes from happening, there's no need to try to pass any more regulation to try to make things safer. And that would be fine if we did that in everything in our society, but we don't. And what I mean by that is, let's take the car. For example, with the invention of the car, there were no safety mechanisms in place. So you didn't have bumpers, you didn't have seat belts, you didn't have airbags. The initial cars that were made had plate glass in the window. So imagine getting in a car accident with plate glass. So no safety mechanisms were there. And so as people began dying, some very horrifically, car manufacturers began to start to make the car safer. So bumpers, seat belts, airbags. And so now let's fast forward to today. We have side airbags, we have airbags coming out the seats, on the bolsters. The cars are made out of very high tensile strength steel. I mean, you name it. Cars are safer than ever. However, people still die in car accidents every day. We lose hundreds of thousands of people in this country every year to car accidents. And so nobody protests and says, well, since people are still dying in cars, you need to stop making cars less safe. We don't want the government involved in making cars safer because people are going to die anyway. Nobody takes that line of thought. To my parents out there who don't want any gun support, gun control measures, would you be comfortable with your team being involved in legislation that eradicates the legal drinking age? That either takes it down from 21 to 18 or just eradicates it altogether. What's the difference? Teens are still going to steal alcohol. They're still going to drink underage. They're still going to drink and drive. And so why have a measure in place of 21? Why have that control measure in place if teens are going to do what they want to anyway? See, when you take that line of thought, it sounds very silly. And for the most part in our country, if we were to apply that to everything, it would be silly. So we don't, except for when it comes to guns. When it comes to guns, all rationale, all reason goes out of the window. And, I really can't understand why. But, that's something for you to answer. I really want you to answer that. Why is it when it pertains to guns, we don't apply that logic to everything else in our society? And so before I go to question number two, what I do want to address is, people who are just very anti-gun. And so with that, I want to say, we live in a violent society. This country, this world, because of sin, there's evil in this world. And ever so often, a gun is necessary to defend your property, to defend your family. And every now and then, you're going to have to take somebody's life. It's a sad reality of this world today. I wish it wasn't so, but it is a necessary evil. And so for those that just say we should get rid of all guns, nobody should have them, that's impossible. That's not a logical stance to take. And so for me, I'm pro-gun, believe it or not. I recognize the need. I respect the gun. I think, if you want to own one, depending on the gun, that you should have that right. And so my second question is, I respect the gun, I do. I recognize the need for the gun. And I'm going to make this personal. But there's something else about the gun that I know, and I think many other Americans can identify with. We don't just respect it. We don't just recognize the need. We love the gun. We really do. Americans, we love our guns. And so our love affair is getting people killed. Our love for guns are causing our kids, our loved ones, our neighbors, our citizens to be killed. Because we don't want to come to the table and have a rational discussion about what can we do to help control, to help dampen some of the things that are going on in our society. I think our country loves guns more than any other country in the world. I really do. I mean, guns are in our movies, they're in our video games, and unfortunately now they're in our educational system. And it's a very sad reality to see 4 and 5-year-olds going through gun drills, active shooter drills in their schools. And so, we have to do something about that. You don't have to give up your gun or, be anti-gun, just come to the table. And, one of the problems that exists in our country now is we don't want to come to the table to discuss anything. But I've noticed something. I've never seen a parent that was a gun supporter who lost a child to a school shooting or a loved one that didn't want to come to the table afterwards to discuss gun control. And so I say to you, please don't wait till it happens to your child or somebody in your family before you decide to at least entertain the idea of gun control. There's a lot of smoke around this issue. People have kind of drawn their lines and circled the wagons. We can change that. We don't have to be like that. So as I close, remember to ask yourself those 2 questions. Why don't we apply the gun control ideology to everything else in our society? And 2, why do we love the gun so much? Because one thing's for certain, our love affair will continue to get people killed. And that's no smoke. Comment down below if you'd like to share your thoughts. Thank you.